This is Bricklog 4. Let's start this log with a status update for the items on top of the brick. First of all, the wood piece has now moved from here to here. As well as being moved, it is also flipped over. The way you can tell is that the notch in the wood has swapped sides. Also, the pointy section of the piece of wood has not changed directions, which means the piece of wood has not rotated. The spider exoskeleton has also moved from here to here. It has also turned white. The mold and bug poop in this region have disappeared, as well as the dirt clumps in this region also disappearing. Concerningly, the X on the brick has started fading. If the X completely fades away, I may not be able to tell the difference between this brick and other ones. I looked at the markings on the other faces of the brick, and what's weird is that all of them except for the one on the top are in pristine condition. The marking on the bottom of the brick being in pristine condition makes sense, because it wasn't exposed to the weather. But all of the markings on the sides of the brick being in pristine condition doesn't make sense, since not all of these markings face a wall, so not all of them would be protected from the weather. This means whatever faded the brick on the top can only act directly downwards. Even though only one marking has faded, the fact that they're temporary is still concerning. Originally, I was considering more permanent options like drilling holes into each face of the brick, and then using the unique positions of each hole to distinguish between this brick and other ones. I'm hesitant to do this because this would be permanent, and if I regret my decision, I can't go back. These holes may also cause structural integrity problems for the brick. In fact, on the bottom of the brick there is a section that has been chipped out as a result of a failed attempt to drill a hole in it. Another option to mark the brick is spray paint, which will last a long time. I know this because in my area there's graffitis on walls, and those have been there for a while and they haven't faded for years, so yeah, it could be an option. I'm not going to immediately proceed with this option, since having a bunch of brightly coloured marking patches on the brick will kind of make it look weird, so I'll try and think of another alternative before I use this one. Now let's talk about something a bit more cheerful. There's new moss growing on the brick. Interestingly, this moss is not uniformly distributed. If you look over here, there is less moss, and over here, there is no moss. Taking this all together, I have noticed a very interesting pattern. Moving in the direction of the green arrow increases the moss. Moving in the direction of the red arrow decreases the moss. Another thing that is interesting is that in this region, in Bricklog 3, there was mold, but now in Bricklog 4, there is moss. The moss has displaced the mold. For context, here is a section of the brick with no moss or mold on it. Let's ground ourselves by looking very closely at it. Wait, there's moss there. Wait, then that would mean then... Well, I'll be damned. Well, I guess then instead of it being 100% no moss, it's just 99.999% no moss. I wonder if there's moss on the bottom of the brick. Let's check underneath it. Now, I don't want to flip the brick over, but let's see if I can get a look at it from underneath. Okay. And there still appears to be moss there. Moving on from the moss, there are a whole bunch of interesting objects on top of the brick to check out. Let's start with this rear end of an earwig. I can tell this earwig is a male because the pincers are curved. In Bricklog 3, I found the back end of a female earwig, and I wonder if these two earwigs had sex when they were still alive. Let's move on to this cute bug. It is called a minute pirate bug, as identified by this nice person on r/WhatsThisBug. Googling minute pirate bug gives images that look similar to the bug I found, so I'm going to assume the Redditor is right. Now I'm just going to poke the bug again to make sure it's dead. Yep, it's dead. It's not responding. It's dead. Are you dead? Yes, you are obviously dead. Let's look at this bug next. Since it ain't moving, it's probably dead, but let's make sure. Yes, it is dead. The same person as before identified this bug as a leafhopper. Googling small brown leafhopper gives these images on the bottom, and they look pretty similar to my images on the top, so I'll assume this person's right again. It has now begun raining in the middle of me gathering, like, you know, pictures and videos of the brick. So that's nice. You can see little raindrops on the brick. There's a cockatiel feather here, and I think it probably came from our cockatiel. I mean, it's the only one I know of in the area. This region of the brick contains multiple objects of interest. Having a closer look, you can see here the fiber clump from the previous log is still attached to the wood piece. Looking even closer, the fiber clump still has one of its red strands in it. Next to the wood piece and the fiber clump, there is an interesting object. Looking at it closer reveals that it is a bug bit. Initially I thought it was a bug head because these things kinda look like eyes, and this part here kinda looks like where antennas would have gone. But flipping it over, I can see these things which look like legs. So maybe it's a bug body or multiple bug bits connected together, I'm not sure. The next three objects are not that interesting, so I will go through them quickly. The spider exoskeleton, I've already talked about this, but here's another close look. This here is a leaf fragment. Here is a look at it. And this here is a white pebble. Here is a look at it. And here's a little rain update. You see all the raindrops on the brick have now dried up. Ain't that neat? The raindrops drying up is disheartening because in Bricklog 3, I was hoping that the brick's frog, which is the name for the brick indentation, would accumulate water as it rains, but the brick's location is too sheltered for that. But at least the brick's frog accumulates debris that I can talk about. This next item is very interesting. This piece of plastic has a very complicated shape, so I looked at it under my microscope from as many angles as possible. After doing that, I reconstructed the object in Blender. Just be aware this reconstruction isn't perfectly accurate, but it's good enough for visualization. I was also fortunate enough to have an alive bug wander the brick. This bug in particular is a beetle, and yes, it was identified by the same person, and yes, this person was right when verified by Google. Here is the beetle's journey across the brick. There is an alive bug on the brick. It's moving, so it's alive. I won't poke it with the tweezers because I don't want to turn it into a dead bug. It's nice. There's like an alive one on the brick this time. It's pretty cool. Is he gonna go in the brick hole? No. Yeah, there it is. Oh. Oh, it's gone now. Never mind, it just moved to a different location on the brick. It's still here. You can see an alive bug next to a dead bug, so you can see the difference. At this point, I stopped recording so I could rotate the brick. Because of life stuff, it's been a while between gathering the footage and making this video, so I don't exactly remember why I did this, but it was probably to get the bug under the microscope while on top of the plastic thing. I just bumped this thing, like the brick, and the bug fell off the top of this and was like flailing around with its legs in the air because it was on its back. I need to create a recreation of it, like an animation or something. So here is that animation. To finish things off, here is what the brick looked like at the start of the log, and here is what it looks like at the end of the log.